Welcome back to the NFL Spread Pick Show, week number 3. We're off to a terrible start. By we, I mean me, because I'm at 12-19 this year. Just went 5-10 last week, so I don't know. I was pretty good at this the past couple of years, but this year's been rough so far. So only up from here, hopefully, but I guess it could get worse. I don't know. The good news is Survivor picks still alive for me. I took Denver last week. I expected them to win by a lot more than 7 or whatever they won by, 6, but they got the win, so I'll take it. But anyway, I will put the timestamps for each game in the description. Go to which game you want. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave in the comments your spread picks for this week, and let's get into it. First game, the KC Chiefs at the Indianapolis Colts, and the Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites on the road. I feel like a couple weeks ago, this spread would have been much different, but of course, the Chiefs are off to a 2-0 start. The Colts are off to an 0-1-1 start. But it feels like they're 0-2, I'm not going to lie. Like every time I think of the Colts, I still think they're 0-2 because that's just what it feels like. But yeah, I mean, the Colts have looked pretty awful for the most part. I mean, Kansas City will probably get some decent pass rush in this game because the Colts offensive line and Matt Ryan have not looked good. I saw that Darius Leonard is out for this game again for the Colts, so that's not good. The Chiefs offense looks very good so far this year, especially week 1. So I think they'll be good against this Colts defense that has been underwhelming and missing their best player. So I'll take the Chiefs minus 5.5 on the road, but you would think at some point the Colts get right, maybe, but I don't know. I think it's going to wait a week. Next, we have the Baltimore Ravens on the road at the New England Patriots, and the Ravens are 2.5-point favorites on the road. I was surprised it's only 2.5. Maybe the Patriots are getting some respect because they won last week, but I was still not impressed by them whatsoever. Baltimore came off that very tough loss where they should have won. They were up like, I don't know, 28-7 maybe against the Dolphins, and they came back and lost that game. But I just think Baltimore's offense is in a different stratosphere than the Patriots, and the Baltimore defense has struggled with their pass defense, but also, on the flip side, the Patriots are probably not the team to take advantage of that because they just are not passing the ball well. I mean, you take away that ridiculous Aguilar catch last week before halftime, and what the hell did the Patriots do in the passing game? Not much. I get Jacoby Myers is good, but I think he's pretty questionable for this game too. So give me the Ravens minus 2.5. I don't feel great about it, but I'm just like, Baltimore's a better team, and I trust their offense way more. It's only 3 points, so I'll just take the Ravens. Next, we have probably one of the crappiest games of the year, the Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears. The Bears are 3-point favorites at home. I'm going to take Chicago. I mean, the Bears offense has not done anything well, but you look at the Texans defense and they have a hard time stopping the run. And that's the one thing the Bears want to do is run the ball, whether it's with Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, Justin Fields. And this should be a game where the Bears get like 150 rushing yards or more. So I think they can score points in this game. Not a lot, of course. But it just feels like one of those really sloppy games that will end 17-14 with Justin Fields in the fourth quarter making some big play happen, and then the Bears win this game by 3 or 4 points. I guess I've been somewhat impressed by the Texans, but they should have closed out that week 1 game. And then in week 2, they failed to put up 10 points against the Broncos in Denver, so I wasn't that impressed. So I'll take the Bears minus 3, but it can definitely go either way. The Las Vegas Raiders at the Tennessee Titans. The Raiders are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Now, both teams are 0-2, so whoever loses, their season might pretty much be over. I mean, that's usually how it goes. I saw that for the Titans, that Taylor Lewan and Bud Dupree are out for this game, but I still feel compelled to take the Titans, even though you guys know if you watched me in the past, I have no read on the Raiders. I took the Raiders last week. They went up 20-0. I'm like, great, Raiders, thank you. They lose the game. Then the week prior, I really wanted to take the Chargers. My gut told me that. Went with the Raiders. They lost. So I hate that team. I want them to lose, and I'm going to take the Titans. I don't have any good reason to take the Titans. I think their passing attack has to get better. There's no way Tannehill's this bad. Treylon Burks is going to have a blow-up game at some point. Why not here? The Raiders' run defense has been average so far. I think Derrick Henry can run on them, so I just hope Tennessee has some type of offense in this game, but I really just don't trust the Raiders. I never do, so I'll take Tennessee plus 2.5. Next, we have an AFC East matchup with 2 undefeated teams, the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are a +5 at home. So, of course, the Bills, with how great and how dominant they have looked, they're going to get a ton of respect. Now, my feeling about this, and I hate saying this, I think the Miami Dolphins are too good right now to be 5-point underdogs at home against anybody. So I could be wrong saying that. We saw this matchup either, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and the Bills won this matchup like 35-0. I think it was last year, like week 2 or week 3. But I like to think this Dolphins team is different. I'm a big Mike McDaniel guy. This team is passing the ball very well. It's tough to keep Waddle and Hill contained for an entire game. I guess if one team can do it, it is the Buffalo Bills. But on the flip side, keeping Josh Allen and that offense in check is nearly impossible. The Bills do have some injuries I saw. I know their center Morris is questionable. I saw that Ed Oliver's out already. Gabe Davis is questionable, although he should play. But I will take Miami plus 5.5. I think there's a chance they win the game, but I'm just hoping Buffalo wins by like 3 or 4. That'd be perfect case scenario for me. But either way, it's a big test for Tua. It's a big test for the Dolphins. We'll see how legit they are. If they come out this game and lose like 31-14, we'll know that, okay, maybe we're overrating the Dolphins just a bit. So this is definitely an interesting matchup. Next, we have the Detroit Lions on the road at the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings are favored by 6, which kind of surprised me. The Vikings looked super impressive in week 1, and then in week 2, they did a complete 180. I know some people say 360. I think it's 180, because if you're doing 360, you're just back where you were. So 180, and they looked like complete shit on Monday Night Football versus the Eagles. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being fooled here, but I'm taking the Lions plus 6. I think the Lions have shown some semblance of being a fine NFL team, average. I mean, Jared Goff literally had 250 and 4 touchdowns last week. He looked really good. We know DeAndre Swift might be the most impressive running back so far. Him, Saquon, a couple other guys, but he's looked great. And the Vikings don't have Harrison Smith for this game, I think. He has a concussion. I'm pretty sure they ruled him out already, so that's not good. And this should be like a shootout type game. Anything can happen. Pick sixes happen, things like that. But I just think plus 6 is way too much. So I'm going to take the Lions here. I still think the Vikings win the game by 3, 4, 5, but I don't know, 6 is too many, so I'll take the Lions. Next is the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. The Bengals are favorites by 6 on the road. So these two franchises have different outlooks right now. If you're a Jets fan, you're like, that's a great win against the Browns. We're on the come up, and then you look at the Bengals and they're 0-2. Coming off a Super Bowl loss. I'm sure every Bengals fan is pretty panicked right now. But I am choosing to believe in the Bengals for one more week. I am giving them another chance. I picked them last week as a minus 8.5 versus the Cowboys. They outright lost the game, so that was rough. I am choosing to believe in this team one more time. The Jets just had their most emotional win of the season, probably. I don't know how they'll react to that, how they'll respond. And I know Cincinnati, they're a better team. They're going to figure it out. Their offensive line is better talent-wise than it was last year, yet their offense looks a lot worse. They'll figure it out. Hopefully it's this week against an opponent that's pretty inferior. So I'll take the Bengals minus 6, but they better win this game. Next, the Philadelphia Eagles on the road at the Washington Commanders, and the Eagles are 6.5-point favorites on the road. They've had good history the past 5-6 years playing in Washington, the Eagles, so I guess due to history, the Eagles should win this game. The spread is saying the Eagles should win this game. But you know how it goes. When the whole country sees a team dominate in primetime, which is what the Eagles did on Monday night, that team gets a bit inflated the next week. And Washington's coming off a loss to the Lions. They brought that game back. They started out down 22-0 or something, but they brought that game back to a 9-point game. Missed the extra point, whatever. But they did have a week 1 win versus the Jaguars. At the time, it was all right, whatever. But the Jaguars have looked kind of good. So I think that's a more impressive win than we're giving them credit for. I think Washington is a competent team. They're a home in this game. And I think 6.5 is too many. And of course, it's a Carson Wentz revenge game. I get that. The Eagles still have the same GM at that time, so there is somewhat of a revenge narrative here. But yeah, it's scary. The Eagles have looked so freaking dominant, especially offensively. We saw how great their defense was on Monday, so I'm a bit concerned, but it just feels like 6.5 is too much, so I'll take Washington. Next is an NFC South matchup. The Saints on the road at the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are 2.5-point favorites on the road here. This is a game where I know that Jameis Winston has the back injury. I know that Alvin Kamara might, in fact, miss this game. I don't care. It's only 2.5 points, and I just don't really trust this Panthers offense against this Saints defense. I unfortunately had to watch this entire Panthers offense versus the Giants last week. They're not very good. Baker Mayfield did not look good. They're not even utilizing Christian McCaffrey the right way in the games he's healthy. I just don't really know how this offense gets that much better. And the Saints defense last week, yes, you look at the final score of that Buccaneers-Saints game, it was 20-10 or 20-3, but there was also a pick 6 involved. So the Saints defense did a really good job versus the Bucs offense. I know they were without Mike Evans for a quarter and Chris Godwin was out the whole game, but whatever. The Saints defense is still really good. I think the Panthers offense is very much below average. I think the Saints defense will win this game for them. The Saints offense just has to be like decent, which I hope they would be. So I'll take the Saints on the road -2.5. Next, it's the Jaguars at the Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 7. I know most people might take the Chargers in this matchup. I'm taking Jacksonville. The Chargers have shown no running game so far. Their quarterback has broken ribs. Keenan Allen is definitely highly questionable for this game, who's the #1 wideout for the Chargers. And Jacksonville right now, it looks pretty good. I don't want to say their offense is rolling, but like they looked pretty good last week. Christian Kirk looks awesome this year. Even Evan Ingram's catching balls now. I mean, what the hell? James Robinson's looked good on the ground. ETN should get it going at some point. I just feel like the Jaguars have hit a turning point. I think they're actually on the rise here. They're going to be a pretty decent team eventually, and I just feel like they're going to become a respectable team. They might win 7, 8, 9 games this year, which wouldn't be like a ton, but I think the Jaguars are a pretty decent team, and I think +7's too many for going against a quarterback that has the rib issue and a team that can't run the ball. So I'll take the Jaguars +7. Next is the Green Bay Packers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are favored by a point. I know with Rodgers and Brady, we're probably thinking high-scoring game, fun, lots of points. I don't see it that way. I think this is a different scenario here. These are not the high-powered offenses we're used to seeing. Mike Evans is out for this game. Chris Godwin's out for this game. Top 2 weapons offensively for the Bucs are out. Devontae Adams, as we know, plays for a different team now, and the Bucs defense does stop the run very well. So you're looking at the Packers' main source of offense now. It's really just Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. Aaron Rodgers has not built the best chemistry with his receivers yet. But for the Buccaneers, they are very beat up. I know that, of course, their top 2 receivers are out. Russell Gage is questionable. Julio Jones is highly questionable. They just signed Cole Beasley. So I'm going to take the Packers +1. I think the Packers, of course, outright win the game based on me taking them. It just feels like reminiscent of last year, how the Packers got blown out week 1. We're worrying about them. They play week 2, primetime. They dominate the Bears, and then they keep it rolling. So I'll take the Packers here. They're also the more desperate team. They are 1-1 compared to the Buccaneers, who are 2-0. So I think that pretty much goes into it as well. So give me the Packers +1. Next, we have the Los Angeles Rams on the road at the Arizona Cardinals, and the Rams are favored by 3.5 here. I'm going to take the Rams as road favorites here. I'm just thinking about these matchups from last week, and they're pretty fluky. I mean, you look at the Cardinals game, they were down 20-0. Kyler Murray's running around 60 yards to just get a 2-point conversion. Like, that stuff's not sustainable. And then you look at the Rams, like they had a punt blocked in that game. They're up 28-3. I mean, they had that game taken care of very easily against the Falcons, and they looked like their dominant selves. Then they let the Falcons back in the game. There was the blocked punt. Just a bunch of fluky shit. I feel like there was an onside kick as well. I still think the Rams are that good of a team, and the Cardinals are getting no pass rush. They have 1 sack in 2 games this year. That's tied for last in the NFL. Matt Stafford should have time to throw. Of course, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson. Those guys will get involved. Cam Akers looks better, more involved. I think the Rams win this one by a decent amount, so I'll take the Rams -3.5 on the road. Next, we have the Falcons on the road at Seattle, and the Falcons are underdogs by a point. I know Seattle's built up the reputation of being a tough place to play and all that, but they're not what they used to be. I don't think Seattle's that good. I said it last week, and I'm kind of happy the 49ers just gave it to them. I finally got a win with that matchup. And with the Falcons, I mean, look, their defense looks fine for the most part. I know they got down very early to the Rams, but they have shown a pass rush. They have 2 good corners. I'm fine with them. Their offense is like, it's average. Mariota could be better, but Drake London's looking great. Kyle Pitts has not been used yet. You would think at some point they get him more involved. And Seattle's offense, I just don't trust them to be consistent. Geno Smith, I don't trust. I'm sure Metcalf will have a better game at some point. Maybe it's here. But I still think the Falcons are a better team by a decent amount. So I know it's a road game for them, but they're still a +1, so I'll take Atlanta here. I feel pretty good about it. It wouldn't be like a lock or anything, and not going to be a survivor pick, but I think the Falcons win this game. Next is the 49ers at the Denver Broncos, and the 49ers are favorites by 1.5 on the road here at Denver. I went back and forth here, but I'm going to go with the 49ers. Denver has just not looked organized so far. I think Jerry Jeudy's highly questionable for this game. It's just pretty much down to Courtland Sutton as their 1 wide receiver who is really worth really caring about. The Niners, they get Jimmy G back, more stability. Of course, you can rely on him more than the unknown of Trey Lance. And the Broncos, they just don't look comfortable. I mean, Russell Wilson was like 14 of 30 last game passing it. It was just, they were awful in the red zone. So I believe the Broncos will get it together at some point, but this is a tough opponent. It's prime time. So I will take San Fran to win this game, cover the 1.5 point spread. And lastly, Monday Night Football. We have the Dallas Cowboys at my New York Giants. As I've said on my streams and on my game preview, I do expect the Giants to win this game, but the last time I've picked against the Giants, they've won those games, so to keep that superstition alive, I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys as +1. So my argument to make for the Cowboys would be Micah Parsons can wreck the game, Daniel Jones can make a mistake or two, and it should be a low-scoring game, so the team that makes the most mistakes will probably lose this game. Dallas will probably go all out to stop Saquon Barkley, something the Panthers did a pretty decent job at last week, and Cooper Rush is 2-0 as a starter. He's never lost, so how could he lose? That's my argument right there. So, yes, that's obviously not my real pick, but for the show purposes, we'll take the Dallas Cowboys +1. Now, survivor pick. Here we go. I am not allowed to use the Ravens or Broncos. We are 2-0. We're alive. I'm going to take the Bengals. We went over them before. I ended off saying they better win that game, and I mentioned that because I was foreshadowing a bit here. You know, it's like a good book. So I was going to pick the Bengals as my survivor pick. That's where I'm going. I know the Jets are coming off that great win, but the Bengals got to get it going. They're 0-2. Get yourselves a win here against a Jets opponent that's not as good as you. So that's it. I think that Cincinnati gets it done this week. If they don't, that's sad. They should just retire for the rest of the year. So anyway, I'll take the Bengals. They're my survivor pick for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll be back for next week. Hopefully I improve from my 12-19 record, whatever the hell it is, because it's embarrassing, but we'll find out. I'll talk to you guys next week.